you get to represent the voters in your congressional district. And you get to vote on possibly important party decisions. Sometimes they vote on important things there. They vote on a platform every 4 years. And you get to meet Democrats from across the country.
That's only for things that win, right?
No. Okay, yeah. So, you have
So
to
if
win.
I support Joe Blow, who's on the primary ballot, I still can do
Your
other
candidate has to win delegates, and you have to be the delegate that wins on the ballot.
Ah.
Yes.
Thank you. I knew someone
Yes.
had to win something.
So, and then, you do get to meet like famous politicians. And then like for Illinois, you're gonna be in the same section with like all of our politicians across the state a lot of the time. And because they're delegates too. So, and then they do have a lot of really crazy like parties with, I went to some party, they had like 100 different food vendors at it or something, and they had all this weird entertainment and performers, and it was crazy. I've never been to a party like that.
So you've actually done this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Who was your presidential candidate?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, and you didn't win.
Yeah.
No.
So.
That's her excited face if you could.
Yeah. So, so candidates have something they look for in you though, if they're looking, because they are gonna get, like, the popular candidates are gonna get a lot of applications for this. So, they basically, if you wanna be an actual Democrat, because like, even if you're crossing over, like, vote for that person, this is where we vote on like party rules and stuff, so the delegate should be Democrat. They want someone who is loyal to the candidate, reliable, persuasive in case there is more than one ballot, because if a candidate doesn't win on the first ballot, you want someone who's been talking to people and maybe could convince them to vote for your candidate, because usually then one candidate might drop out of the first round and then they do a new vote if no one gets 50%. You want someone that makes a good impression on people, and there are two ways that I recommend trying to get noticed. And so one of them is just you either have it or you don't. You might be like a politician or like a county chair or some kind of big shot, So that's one way to get on there is a lot of the candidates that are well connected. They will have so many like elected officials wanting to be their delegate that not only do they have special elected official delegates, but they have ones that just want to run for delegate too, like Linda Chapalavia was a delegate for Hillary Clinton, for example. So the other one is just to get involved in the campaign now, if you're not already, and get yourself noticed where like somebody is seeing you doing work for the candidate. That helps you get a foot in the door too. And then also just if you represent an important demographic that maybe that candidate doesn't have a lot of people from, that's an easier way to get into being a delegate too.
Oh, well, so much for me.
So,
my God, what do we got?
Yeah. So, you have your main responsibilities is to collect signatures to get yourself and the presidential candidate on the ballot. That's two different sheets that you have to take around. You have to campaign for the candidate, attend any meetings or anything requested by the campaign. And then you have to attend all the days of the Democratic National Convention. You do have to pay for your own travel expenses, and you have to vote. That's your number one thing that you have to do. So, and then we have types of delegates. The pledge delegates are the ones that get elected, and they're loyal to a particular candidate. And they're approved by that campaign. They vote in every round of voting at the convention. The unpledged automatic delegates are what is referred to as super delegates. They can vote however they want. They get this position automatically, so there's no equal division with them on who supports what candidate. It's just, luck of the draw as to who the elected officials are that are the automatic delegates. And they do not vote on the first ballot, but if no candidate gets 50%, then they start weighing in, and there's a lot of them. So basically, you know, those are just the two types. I'm gonna move on to the next section. Okay, so the pledge delegates have a few different types. The district delegates are the ones that get elected by the voters of the primary. The at-large delegates are actually picked later on in the process, and they are to help ensure the diversity goals for the state. And then people who ran for district delegate and didn't win sometimes get put in those slots. And then they have the pledged Clio delegates. Those are the party leader and elected officials. Those are different because they're pledged to a specific candidate. They're not like those unpledged delegates. Go ahead.
And the districts, the House districts, US House districts?
Yeah, the congressional districts, yes. And the pledged elected official delegates, they do give priority based on how high your status is within that candidate's slate. And then the last thing is alternate delegates. They have a few of those picked just in case somebody falls ill. They can call in their alternate delegate to come replace them. Okay, and then this is just real quick. The unpledged automatic delegates. This is who has membership by virtue of their office. So basically DNC members, the state party chair, Congress, senators, governors like Pritzker, and then distinguished party leaders are former high-up officials. So Obama is one for, he'll be doing that the rest of his life. He's a distinguished party leader. Okay. So the Illinois delegate allegation, we have 184 delegates, 155 of those are pledged delegates. Those are like the people like you and me who would have to get elected to this position specifically. And then you have those unpledged, 29 of those for our state. And then 13 alternate delegates for the whole delegation. And then there are 3 standing committees, rules, platform, and credentials. And those are not actual delegates, but they go with the delegation and they have an important role to play. And there's 7 on each of those committees.
Who's the committee members?
I will get to that. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start with the district delegates. That's the first thing that happens here is those congressional district people get elected. They have a very, very rigid male-female ratio that you have to fit into by district. So for CD6, anyone who's in the 6th congressional, it's 3 males and 3 females. But the 11th district is an odd number, and they just did like a coin flip, and it's 3 females and 2 males. So even if like all your good candidates for delegate are 5 females, like for example, you can't take 5 females, you have to like take out some of those and go recruit some males or something, so you can get the slate filled. And I think that was put in to help women initially, and now it's not as helpful because in the old days they probably didn't pick women for delegates, so. Okay, so then we have demographic targets, and this is across the entire 184 of the delegation, and you have to try to do this within your districts too to have diversity. So the African American is a big voting bloc, so they have a lot of spots there. Specifically the Democratic Party because it's based on Democratic voting. And then Native American doesn't get much there. They get 1 for the whole 184. But this last slot here, this for Caucasian, that can include other minorities. So like, let's say you had like 2 Native American, like you could put somebody in that section.
If you had a second Native American?
Right. Right.
Or a 52nd African American, could you put them under the
You
Caucasian
can.
plus either?
You can. And the other minorities, what I was thinking of is like people who are Arab or something, they don't fall into these categories. So they also put them in that category. cause they're technically, a lot of them are Caucasian, so they just are a minority, so. And then we have other target groups. We do have, LGBTQ and people with disabilities, and we have a large 34% has to be youth 35 and under.
That likely.
It's hard, you have to, you have to search for them, sometimes, because they're not usually like up on, it's usually people once they get into like maybe their 40s and stuff, they start looking at being a delegate, so you actually have to recruit them a lot of the time.
Just, Madam Chairman, are we almost finished with this particular topic? I'm only concerned about getting through the rest of the agenda. I mean, I need
Right.
to leave at 9.
Okay,
I mean, I live information, it's about 8:20.
okay. I don't know if you've been timing me, but we have about 15 minutes for this.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm gonna miss the rest.
Okay, so,
No, I'm leaving.
for applying to be a delegate, you can apply online through the IDCCA, and this would be more effective if, say, you wanted to be a delegate for like Polo Chart or something, than if you wanted to be a delegate for Biden. We probably have like a huge amount of people wanting to be a delegate for him. So, that's just an example. But otherwise, if it's a very like high in demand, like higher polling candidate, then you want to get involved in the candidate's campaign, and you can volunteer in Iowa or something like that, because right now there's not a whole lot going on in Illinois, and you can apply for campaign jobs. So the delegate timeline, the petitions, the September is when you have to apply to be a delegate, and then the candidates select the district delegates for each district. And then in October 5th is when the petitions start. You collect signatures for both the presidential candidate and a slate of delegates in most cases. And it's a 500 signature minimum per congressional district. And then January 2nd to 3rd, you file petitions in Springfield. Now you're gonna have like 5 candidates in your district or something, so you can split up those signatures because you're on a slate together. And then the primary is March 17th. The presidential preference percent in each congressional district determines the number of delegates received. A candidate has to get at least 15% of the vote in that district to get any delegates at all. And so like, let's say your candidate got 60% of the vote. Then there's 5 delegates, so that candidate gets 3 delegates. And then the gender allocation may change, like you may not have the top 2 vote getters because they have to do this gender allocation half and half, so. Okay, so if you're lucky enough to get elected, then there's a delegation meeting in April 27th. That's where you select all these other positions, the at-large delegates, the party leader, elected official delegates, and the alternate delegates, and the standing committee members, and you also elect a delegation chair, and these district delegates who got elected, they're the ones who elect these people. But these are usually pre-approved by the campaign. They're technically elected, but usually the campaign picks them out ahead of time. Okay, and then these are the 3 standing committees. The platform committee they vote on the platform, they write a new platform every 4 years, and they present it at convention to be voted on. This is the most expensive position. If you want to sign up for what's going to cost you the most money to do, the platform committee, they have a few meetings in different states in advance of the convention, and then the platform committee members all have to get together a month before the convention somewhere, and then they vote on the final platform, and then they are supposed to also go to the convention. So you can see that that could add up in travel costs. And then the rules committee meets 1 to 2 days before the convention. They do bylaw amendments and if forming any commissions, like the last time where they formed the Unity Reform Commission. And again, the delegates vote on all that stuff for the final vote. And then the credentials committee is, they hear and vote on any challenges to the delegates. So someone might try to kick a delegate off. Those are the people who judge them as to whether they should get kicked off. And that does happen. So then you have the convention itself. I just wanted to pass on this information because it's new information. The convention's July 13th to 16th, and it's in Milwaukee. We've got 31 delegations are staying in Wisconsin and 26 are staying in Illinois. And some of the people are coming from like California, and they have to stay in Rosemont. It takes them 90 minutes every day to go from Rosemont up there. But we have ours, it's in the suburbs of Milwaukee. It's not the best, but it's not as bad as that. So, but like, if you were gonna be a delegate, you don't wanna stay like downtown in Milwaukee. You wanna stay near that hotel because you have to go to these breakfast meetings in order to be able to even get into the convention later in the day. So, they do shuttle buses and things like that. Now the hotel prices are usually very high. I'm guessing because it's in the suburbs, it won't be as high. So it was $600 a night last time for if you stayed in the hotel.
How many can you put in a room?
You can put in 4, which a lot of people did that. They put in 4 people in a room. Yep. And a lot of people did GoFundMe accounts because you can do that legally as long as you do it individually. You can't have like 5 of you funders together. So. But I think it'll be cheaper this time. It's just because they get so many people in a place that cannot hold that many people, and then the hotels just jack up the prices. And I do think, I wouldn't be surprised if some of that price is like paying for the events of the convention too, because it's usually done by the DNC, not like you can't call the hotel and ask all these questions. So, basically, I just want to make you aware of that. But the breakfast is where a lot of the action happens, so you have to go to the breakfast.
How early does it start?
It starts very early. This is very long days, I have to tell you. So their daily breakfast meetings are with the speakers. You have to go to them to pick up your credentials. That's the only way you can get into the convention itself. And then when you vote for president, you vote at the breakfast meeting.
Could
And
someone
then,
stay at an Airbnb and go to the breakfast at that hotel?
yes, they can. So basically you have to be there to vote, and then later on they actually announce your vote, but you have to do it at the breakfast meeting. And then the daytime caucuses, they have various, like the Black Caucus, the Women's Caucus, they're generally along demographic lines. And then they just sometimes have miscellaneous meetings during that time. And then at the convention, it's held at night. It often runs late. You vote, things you do at it, you vote on rules and platform. The remaining candidates are nominated. They all speak. You have a roll call vote that takes that breakfast vote, and they go through every state one at a time. And then if no candidate gets 50%, then you're gonna have multiple rounds, which hasn't happened for a very long time, but might happen this time with all these candidates running. And then at that point, those unpledged delegates start voting. And then there's like entertainment, lots of speakers throughout, because it's like five days long, so it's spread out over all the 5 days. And then basically, there's just, I already went through the parties, I'm just gonna move on with that one. And then if you felt like I didn't give you enough information, you can feel free to go to this delegate information session by the state party. It's September 11th at the IBEW Hall. And I plan to go to it just to see if they gave us anything like hotel price or anything like that, or a financial aid package or whatever, but that, I could come back and just tell you about if I found out anything new, but you can feel free to go attend that one too. Yep.